so that we'll also have a very good knowledge sharing platform. Is it okay? Is it okay? I want this from the
Yes, ma'am.
students. So if you will share the slides to us, we can see what is the work you are doing. Is it okay? Is it okay? Civil and Triple E, please respond. The last 10-minute session, either you can show your work or you can give the slide on any of the case study of a successful entrepreneurs, like some of them had written on MTR, Paytm, some of them had written on Geo. So like that, can you share your work on a successful entrepreneur in the form of slides to us? Please talk in this session. Please interact with me. Are you interested or not? At least raise your hand. At least raise your hand. I wanted to see who is interested. No one is interested? Hello?
No, madam. 3 4 students interested.
Okay, 3 4 students are interested. Very good. So from tomorrow, can we have this session? Just a 10 minutes or 5 minutes session is enough. Can you give the session? Okay, I think 2 or 3 people have raised the hands. So the person who had raised the hand can give the PPT presentation tomorrow in the last 10 minutes. In the last 10 minutes, you can share your PPT work or your Word document work to us. Is it okay? Can I go back to the slides? Yes, okay. So coming to this topic, so as of now we had seen what are the different types of enterprises, like small, medium and large enterprises based on their investment rate. Okay, so there should be a very good relation or a mutual relation between a small, medium and large industries. Why they need a very good like very good mutual understanding is like large scale industries, they usually undertake and manufacture more complex machines. Like they are always concerned about manufacturing a very complex machines, so which always require high technology, and they involve in large number of components. They involve in manufacturing a large number of components. So because of this, what it is like, it is not economical to manufacture all the components. So what they do, they tie up with they give the outsourcing to either a medium and small scale industries. So they will be manufacturing their sub assembly parts, and they will be giving to the large scale industries. The best the term you call it as ancillary unit. The example I wanted to give is car. Okay, a Maruti car is being manufactured, but the tires of that Maruti car is being manufactured by either it could be Apollo tires or it could be MRF. So they will be having a mutual agreement, either like Apollo tires will be having a mutual agreement with the Maruti, like they will be producing more than 50% of the production. Let's say they are manufacturing 10 cars. This Apollo tires company, they will be giving more than the 50% of the production of the large scale unit, and they will be acting as an ancillary unit for the large scale unit. Okay, so this is nothing but you will be mutually benefited. The large scale unit will be benefited in terms of production, and the small scale unit also will be benefited in terms of money they will be earning, and they will be also participating in the production. So that's why in our nation we have different types of companies: large, medium, small. There are tiny industries, there are micro industries also. So there should be a very good relationship, so that there will be a very good development of the nation. For the development of the nation, I had written a point here: for the development of nation, all the three are essential. Is it correct? Like all the three should mutually cooperate with each other, and the production rate should increase. Because of production rate, there will be a change in the economy, there will be a change in terms of national level, right? So that comes the importance that there should be a proper good linkage among small, medium and large industries. So all of you understood this. So I had given there is a PDF here. This is a written this is a I will click on it, you can watch this. This will help you for the more information to write in your external exams. Let me click on it, it will go. Okay, it's not going. So this is a document regarding encouraging linkages between small, medium-sized companies and multinational enterprises. You can go through this. In this, it is detailedly written about how they will be a linkage between the different companies. So you can go through this paper, this PDF. I will send this PDF in your WhatsApp group also. So coming to the types of business units in India. Okay, there are basically of three types of units. No, it's not three types, it's five types of units in India. The first one is small scale unit, where the investment in the fixed assets in plant and machinery is only up to 5 crore. Okay, and again in the previous sessions we had discussed this 5 crore amount will be changing based on the enterprises you choose. If it is of manufacturing unit, the number will be different. If it is of service based, the number will be different. Like two classes back I have given one table, please go through that table. The small scale unit, the number, the investment in fixed assets in plant and machinery, if it is 5 crore for manufacturing enterprise, it is different. For service based type, the number will be different, it will be of 2 crores. Okay, then the second unit is ancillary unit. An ancillary unit is a unit which supplies not less than 50% of its production to the parent unit. I have given a best example, Apollo Tires, right? Apollo Tires will be giving the ancillary production, the tires production, and it should give more than 50%, not less than 50%. Okay, and then the third one is a tiny unit. A tiny unit is a business enterprise whose investment in plant and machinery is not more than 25 lakh. So here you can see the number here, number is varying. The first one is only up to 5 crore, but here it is 25 lakh. Based on the number, the unit will be varying. Okay, the next one is large scale industries. Large scale industries is nothing but which requires letter of intent and industrial license. You call it as large scale unit, and you call it as large scale. The name itself says that the production, the number of units will be in large amount, that you call it as large scale unit. Okay, so to register, if you want your unit to be a large scale unit, you have to register the company under Directorate General of Technical Development. You can please type this in the Google. This is for registering your unit, your large scale unit, Directorate General of Technical Development. Okay, so now we had discussed different types of units: small scale unit, ancillary unit, tiny unit, large scale unit. So why I'm focusing on it is you will get short answer questions in your external exams. They will ask you differentiate small scale unit and ancillary unit. Both look same, but ancillary unit is which is tied with a the company. It will the mandatory rule is like it has to produce more than 50%, not less than 50%. But small scale unit is independent, it is not dependent on the large scale unit. Just it will, if it gets a tender, if it gets any instructions from large scale, like some production has to occur, like if it gets any instructions it will produce, but it is not dependent on the large scale unit. Okay, so tiny unit is the one if the investment cost is more than 25 lakh, you call it as tiny unit. Okay, coming to this slide, it is also very very important in terms of academic point of view. They will ask you compare the forms of enterprises. In terms of academic point of view, I'm again stressing there you may get an essay question on it. So compare the forms of enterprises. There are basically four different forms of enterprises. So this we had seen it in previous sessions. Like I had said, there are different types of ownerships. So that is, first one is sole proprietorship, second one is partnership, third one is joint stock company, fourth one is cooperative societies. Like cooperative is nothing but it is just a society where it is like a group of people which they will be helping for each of all of each of all. Okay, we'll see all this in detail now. So when you write, the way of presentation of your external paper is also very very important. So you can just draw the diagram like this and you can represent it. The types of ownership structure or the types of forms of enterprises are of different types: sole trader, partnership, private limited, public limited, cooperative society, state owned company. Okay, sole trader is the one where it is a one man show. It is like a one man show where one person is only responsible for from the scratch to the final outcome. Okay, partnership is where you will be having two, it could be the number will range from 2 to 20. Okay, 2 to 20 partners. Okay, then the private limited, the number of owners will range from 1 to 149. Okay, then the public limited, that is under 7 plus and it is under the government, public limited company. Okay, cooperative society, it is a membership of more than 7 plus till the number. Okay, so this is different types of ownership structure in framing a company. The one most thing I wanted to say is, when you choose a company, when you want to frame a company, you have to ensure that which type of ownership you want. Okay, if you are well enough, you have a very good knowledge, you are having a very good structure in your mind, you can go for sole trader. Like if you want some suggestions or if you want to have a mutual understanding, like you can go for partnership. Based on your interest, you have to choose the ownership. And for registering a company, they will ask you the forms under, there are different types of acts. Okay, so for having a partnership based firm, you will be having a different form for that. Okay, so that now we'll see a comparison here. I taken this comparison from the textbook. I've shown the textbook. The textbook for your subject is the Dynamics of Entrepreneurial Development and Management by Vasant Desai. Please follow this textbook. It has a very good points, and the points are very elaborative nature. So I had taken this comparison chart from the textbook. So here it's a comparison between the four different types of ownerships. Okay, so I have highlighted here. First we'll see the formation. how the formation is, whether it is easy or it is complex or it is difficulty. We'll see the nature of formation. The sole proprietorship, it is easy, no, not much legal formalities are required. Then for the partnership, you need an agreement. Okay, I said right, there should be an agreement for the formation. And the private company, it is little bit difficulty, some legal formalities are required. Okay, then public limited, it is very difficult compared to the private company. Legal formalities, several legal formalities are required. So coming to the registration, what is the registration method? Like I have shown you, to start up a company with a new innovatives, you have to register, you have to have an SSI number, where you have to go to the Startup India website, go and register. If you want a sole proprietorship, if you want to have a sole proprietorship, registration is not necessary here. Okay, then partnership, it is optional. And for the private company, it is compulsory, registration is compulsory. And public limited, obviously it is compulsory. Coming to the membership. Okay, membership, it is one man show, as it is a single man show. It is no need of that membership formalities and all. Here the membership, the members minimum should be 2, maximum should be 10. Okay, minimum should be 2, maximum should be 10. And for the private company, minimum should be 2, maximum should be 50. Okay, and for the public, it is minimum 7, maximum no limit. Okay, coming to the legal status, no separate legal existence is required in sole proprietor. Here also the same, no separate legal existence. And for the private and public entities, public companies, you need to have a separate legal entity. Then coming to the liability of members, it is unlimited, fully risk. I said right, a sole proprietor is responsible for the risk. And I always been saying you, an entrepreneur is a person where he should have a very good calculated risk in his mind. And the risk, everyone will forecast the risk, but the risk should be calculated and it should be always unbiased. Unbiased risk should be always framed in the mindset of the entrepreneur. Okay, then here it is unlimited joint, the risk is shared between the partners. Okay, then here it is limited, and public sector, it is limited. Okay, then financial capacity and suitability. Coming to financial capacity and suitability, it is limited. And for the small scale, for the small business, the capital, the initial capital is low. Okay, but the part for the partnership, the size, it is medium. Okay, but for the private and the public limited company, there is a large capital and it is suitable for the medium scale business. And public limited, it is suitable for the large scale business. Okay, coming to the sharing of profits. Okay, I said from the starting, an entrepreneur who is a sole proprietor, he is responsible for the profit sharing. He's a only one owner. Okay, but coming to the partnership, as per the agreement, the profits will be shared. Okay, and in the private and public limited company, the shares are based on the board decisions, the meetings of the board members. Okay, coming to the business secrecy. Business secrecy is, there should have a perfect secrecy. The secrecy for the sole proprietor should be very perfect, and here the secrecy is limited to the partners. I'm sorry, the slide, I will use an highlighter here. Okay, here it should be a perfect secrecy. Here the secrecy is limited to the partners. Okay, and coming to the private and the public, under private, secrecy is shared by the members, audits and reporters. But in public, the secrets is being shared with the public, and the reports are compulsory. Okay, and coming to the state regulation and flexibility, uh, practically it is none. Whereas here, very little and sufficient flexibility will be there. And coming to the private sector, considerably limited flexibility will be there, and for the public sector, no flexibility. Okay, these are some of the differences between the sole proprietorship, partnership, private and public limited, which I have highlighted. I say the students first write this first highlighted in the sequential manner, and then you can go to the rest all. Coming to the government act, I said, right, for the partnership you have to undergo under the partnership act. Okay. Under the private company, you have to be under the act of the companies act. Okay, so we had seen one of the act in the previous session, that is MSME act. That is like the buyer has to pay within the given time. If he is not paying in the given time, he has to repay the amount along with the compound interest. Okay, so the companies which you are choosing, you have to see under which act is that going under. Okay, then coming to the next slide, this is just a few difference of the different types of ownership. Now we will see what are the essential requirements, what the entrepreneur must have in his mind, the essential requirements in terms of officially, in terms of technically, what are the requirements that must be there in his mindset. Okay, the first and foremost thing is an entrepreneur should be fully conversant with the product line. In the sense, an owner should be always, he should have a very good knowledge of what the production is he doing. The production, he might not be a qualified person, but he should be aware of what is the production line or the production methodology they are using in a company. Okay, he should be able to explain his subordinates. Okay, the second thing is the shop floor requirements and guide the machine operators. He should be well enough that how they are producing, he should guide the shop floor operators or his subordinators. Then the third one is he should be aware of raw materials and specification. What is the quality of the raw material? What are the specifications of the material? Let's say if he's manufacturing aluminium, some material of aluminium, there are different grades in aluminium, 6061, 2014. So all these in terms of technically, or in terms of the number, in terms of quantity and quality of the materials, he should be very aware of it. Okay, then coming to maintenance of accounts, maintenance of the store, the preparing of the balance sheets, all the accounts which are related to the product or related to the enterprise, he should be aware of it. Okay, then coming to the marketing channels, he should be have a very good knowledge of the marketing channels or the marketing research work or the strategies what are being done on on the product. Then he should ensure the stipulated quality of the product. Then coming to the next requirement is he should be well versed with taxation. What are the laws that are being governed by SSI? What are the benefits? What are the subsidiaries that are being given to the given by SSI? We had seen one of the SSI is NSIC, National Small Industry Corporation, in the last session. Okay, it is the motto of that SSI is to promote the small scale industries in terms of technically and financially. So he should be well versed with all those laws or the benefits that are being given. Okay, that is covered here. Then he should be of hard working nature. I had given some of the golden rules of an entrepreneur. He should be of he must be an hard worker. He should have a very good patience. Patience is must in order to see all the ups and downs of the company. Okay, and then he should have a very good guts to it's an obviously an entrepreneur and or a businessman, he should be very cool enough in all the conditions. Okay, so these are the essential requirements what an entrepreneur must have. So we had seen some of the approaches from the institutes like There are TSIIC, there are the state Telangana State Industrial Development Corporation, it is an ABIDS. So all these institutes, how they are been supporting all this, an entrepreneur has to study and he has to connect all these in order to get a very good outcome. Okay, so as of today, I had discussed all these. So now I will show you the external question paper. I will show you an external question paper to you so that you will get an idea like which type of questions are being covered from unit 1. Shall we see the question paper now? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So that you will get an idea like which type of questions are being repeated. I will show one question paper daily. I'll show only one question paper so that you can read from the textbook. Let me show you. Okay, is the PDF visible to you? Is the PDF visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. In part A, there is a question: how does an entrepreneur creates an entrepreneurial culture? Can you attempt this? How
Yes,
does
ma'am.
an entrepreneur creates an entrepreneurial culture? Can anyone answer this question? Can anyone answer this question? Just type it in Google and you can read for me. How does an entrepreneur creates an entrepreneurial culture? It is a generalized question. You can type it in Google and you can tell me. Please talk in this session. Now I'm showing the question paper. You have to answer to me. So, anyone? Anyone can answer. I'm not seeing your faces. So don't be scared here. You can answer me. Just type how does an entrepreneur creates an entrepreneurial culture. You will get some pages in the Google. Can you just read what is given there? Students, are you there?
Ma'am, by working with them,
Yes.
by working with them, ma'am, by working with that entrepreneur.
We will take from their leaders.
I'm
Yes.
telling on my own, ma'am, not searching in Google.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Carry on. Carry on.
By working with entrepreneurs, ma'am, by communicating with them and uh, by working with them.
Working with the
Entrepreneurs.
subordinates. Yes.
Hello.
Please repeat it. Please repeat it. Yes. Hello.
By working with the real entrepreneurs, ma'am, present they will run some companies, no, ma'am. By working under them, we get some knowledge, right? So in that way, we can gain some knowledge.
Okay. The next person who is talking, you can talk now. The next person. The next person can talk on this topic.
By trying new things and experimenting.
By trying new things and experimenting, in the sense you want to be an innovative entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay. Still anyone who want to answer this question? How does an entrepreneur creates an entrepreneurial culture? Still anyone who want to answer this question?
By working with the employees of your own company. Working together.
Encouraging everyone to think like a salesperson.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Still any points? Still any points? Okay. Going to the
Providing
next
your
slide.
employees,
Yes,
providing your providing your employees with autonomy and independence.
very good, very good, very good. So you have to be humble
Ma'am,
enough. You have to be humble enough with them to make them to work in together. Make them work
ma'am,
Yes.
by communicating with the customers, ma'am,
Okay.
of the other companies or else random public, by knowing what their exact needs.
Very good, very good, very good. Then a very good answer for this question. So so you can try on few points, like this question carries what is the marks for this five answer any five. So it is 5 into 5 25 marks. For the 5 marks, how many points you have to write, frame it, and you can answer this question. So we'll go for the second question now. How is the entrepreneur responsible for the economic progress of an area or a region? Can you answer this? Hello?
By providing employment.
Yes, very good. Still?
By paying the taxes to the government,
Okay.
if the business is successful.
Okay, by providing employment. The second point, I didn't get you. Tax. What is a tax?
Paying the tax to the government, ma'am, income tax. If
Okay, okay.
the
Income
if the
tax. Very
business
good.
is really successful.
Okay, then third point. Anyone? Third point. What is the
Increasing growth.
increasing the growth in terms of which sector? In like there are different level in terms of economic point of view, or you are talking in terms of social point of view?
In both ways, no, ma'am.
Yes, in both ways. Very good. Still any points on this? Still any points? The responsibility of an entrepreneur in a nation or in a area or a region. Can anyone answer to this question? So I had given some points for this. I had given that entrepreneur is a lifeline of a nation. I had given how, like see, like public sector public sector is only they will concern. I feel like public sector, they are only concerned about welfare of the society, but they will not invest on the risk taking. But entrepreneur will always focus on the, he'll always have a change in his mind, like change in his structures, because to have a change in his structure, he will take risk. Because of risk, more innovation, there will be a very drastic change of economy. So that you can add on point for this answer, isn't it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Still any points? Still any points?
He can
Still
increase the job opportunities.
increase the opportunities in which sector?
Job opportunities, ma'am.
Yes, job opportunities are increased because of more entrepreneurship, because of more enterprises, more employability. Then still any points?
Developing new production techniques.
Yes, developing new production techniques. Very good, very good. Very good. So still we have 4 more minutes. You can try telling some points on it. Anyone, please try telling what is the role or impact of entrepreneur in the area or in a nation. Keep try it, right?
Developing the region.
Developing the
Region.
no, I didn't get you. Developing the hello.
Ma'am, it helps in to avail the products furthermore easier.
Very good, very good. So now you got an idea. Like there are two questions. If I go back
To increase GDP.
to increase GDP. That I want. Yes, GDP will increase because of entrepreneur. GDP, the per capita income, the standard of living will increase because of the role of entrepreneur. That you have to write. Technically, you have to write some points. Okay, so there is a question here. Just last question for this session. You can answer it in tomorrow's session. Okay, so there is a question called entrepreneurship is a combination of entrepreneur and enterprise. Explain it. Can you answer this? Can you answer this? They are asking you, entrepreneurship is a combination of entrepreneur and enterprise. Explain on it. Can you answer this question? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So one slide I had explained on it, like entrepreneurship is a combination of enterprise and entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a person who wants to start a company. He is a person who will manage the business. Enterprise is the outcome of what the methodology is using. So the three are first comes an entrepreneur, second comes the process, what is he using, the process or the methodology, you call it as entrepreneurship. The outcome of the entrepreneur, you call it as enterprise. It is just a single sentence, but in textbook you can go through. There are more definitions for entrepreneur, enterprise and entrepreneurship. Please go through it. Okay, so in the next session, I have asked one favor. One of the student, you can show your work on startup or any case study. Thanks a lot. Can I wind up the session?
Yes, madam. Proceed with